Good evening, everyone. It's truly an honor to stand in front of you tonight. My name is Dr. Miller, and for over 23 years I've had the privilege of sitting across from thousands of patients who all wanted the same thing, not just a longer life, but a stronger one, a sharper one, a life where they could climb stairs without fear, play with grandchildren without pain, and wake up in the morning with purpose instead of stiffness. I want to begin with a story. Several years ago, I had a patient named Harold, 74 years old, retired engineer, brilliant mind, failing body. He came to me with what he thought were normal aging problems. Blood pressure creeping up, a 1C in the pre-diabetic range, knees that ached every morning, balance that wasn't what it used to be. He said something I will never forget. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of declining." That sentence hit me hard. Around the same time, I had just returned from visiting Okinawa. I spent time observing daily life among Japanese seniors who were well into their 80s and 90s. They weren't in gyms, they weren't doing CrossFit, they weren't obsessing over macros, but they were moving constantly, gently, intentionally, and here was the surprising revelation. When we studied their labs, their muscle mass, their insulin sensitivity, their inflammatory markers, they looked decades younger than their chronological age, not because of supplements, not because of some secret pill, but because of 6 simple daily movements they practiced without fail. So tonight I am going to teach you those 6 daily movements Japanese seniors swear by for longevity. But more importantly, I'm going to show you what they are doing to your mitochondria, your hormones, your blood vessels, your brain. And why this may matter more than almost anything your regular doctor has told you about aging. Because aging is not just about time. Aging is about loss of movement. And loss of movement is loss of metabolic power. And when you understand what's really happening inside your body, you will never look at a simple squat or a daily walk the same way again. So lean in, because what I'm about to share with you is not fitness advice. It's cellular survival strategy. Now let's talk about the problem. I want you to imagine your body as a massive city, millions of factories, highways delivering nutrients, power plants generating energy, waste management systems clearing debris, communication towers sending signals every second. When you are young, that city runs like Tokyo at rush hour, organized, efficient, humming with life. But here's what happens as most people age. The power plants, your mitochondria, become sluggish. The highways, your blood vessels, get clogged and stiff. The waste removal systems, your lymphatics, slow down. Garbage accumulates. Inflammation rises. And what is the single biggest reason the city begins to decay? Inactivity. Modern life has engineered movement out of our existence. We sit to eat, sit to work, sit to drive, sit to relax, sit to watch entertainment. The average adult spends over 9 hours a day seated. 9 hours. Now let me ask you something. How many of you in this room sit more than 6 hours a day? Be honest. Look around. That's nearly everyone. Here's the gentle wake-up call. Your body was not built for that. Your genes were not written for that. For over 99% of human history, we were in motion. Walking, squatting, reaching, carrying, kneeling, standing. When movement disappears, your muscles shrink. And muscle is not cosmetic tissue. It is an and-stop endocrine organ. It releases myokines, chemical messengers that reduce inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, protect the brain. When muscle mass declines, insulin resistance creeps in. Blood sugar rises, fat accumulates around organs. The liver becomes fatty. The pancreas strains. Cortisol stays elevated. Chronic inflammation becomes the background noise of your biology. And here is what most people are doing every day that makes this worse. They wake up stiff. They skip movement because they feel stiff. They eat refined carbohydrates that spike insulin. They sit at a desk. They feel tired at 3 p.m. They consume caffeine or sugar. They sit some more. They come home exhausted. They collapse into a chair, and the city deteriorates. This is not aging. This is disuse. And this is the part your cardiologist is not telling you. The single greatest predictor of lifespan in older adults is not cholesterol. It is not BMI. It is not even blood pressure. It is leg strength and walking speed. Let me say that again, because I want it to land. Your ability to rise from a chair and walk briskly predicts how long you will live. Now let's move into the science. We're going to walk through what happens inside your body when you adopt the 6 daily movements Japanese seniors practice. The first movement is walking. Not power walking, not treadmill sprinting. Just steady daily walking. Now in the first 10 minutes of walking, here is exactly what is happening inside your cells. Your muscle fibers contract rhythmically. That contraction acts like a pump. Blood flow increases. Nitric oxide is released from your endothelium. That's the inner lining of your blood vessels. Nitric oxide is like a relaxation signal. It tells your arteries to widen. Blood pressure drops. Your muscles begin pulling glucose out of the bloodstream independent of insulin. That means your blood sugar starts picking without your pancreas having to work harder. After about 20 minutes, something even more powerful happens. Your mitochondria, the power plants, sense increased energy demand. They activate AMPK, an enzyme that acts like a fuel gauge. AMPK says, we need more efficient energy production. Over time, this signal leads to mitochondrial biogenesis. You literally grow more power plants inside your cells. Now imagine that happening every day. The second movement is deep squatting. In Japan, many seniors still sit and rise from the floor multiple times a day. This is not an exercise class. This is cultural habit. When you lower into a squat, your hips flex fully, your knees bend deeply, your ankle joints articulate completely. This maintains synovial fluid flow in the joints. That's the lubrication system. But here's what's fascinating. The act of standing back up requires massive recruitment of your gluteal muscles and quadriceps. Those are some of the largest muscle groups in your body. When they contract under load, they release a hormone-like compound called irisin. Irisin helps convert white fat into metabolically active brown fat. So every time an older adult in Okinawa lowers to the floor and stands back up, they are triggering a metabolic cascade that keeps fat tissue healthier and more insulin sensitive. The third movement is carrying. Groceries, laundry, grandchildren. In Western fitness, we call this loaded carries. In Japan, it's daily life. When you carry weight, your grip muscles contract. That grip strength correlates strongly with overall mortality. But beyond that, carrying activates your core stabilizers. It strengthens spinal integrity. It stimulates bone density through mechanical loading. Bone cells called osteocytes sense strain. When they feel that strain, they signal osteoblasts to lay down new bone matrix. That is how you prevent osteoporosis. Not with pills, with load. Now, I want to stop here for a moment because this is critical. Bone is alive. It responds to stress. Remove stress, bone disappears. The fourth movement is gentle daily stretching and mobility, often in the form of radio taiso, a morning group movement ritual practiced across Japan. It looks simple, arm circles, torsus, light bends, but these movements stimulate proprioceptors, sensory receptors in your muscles and joints that send feedback to your brain about position. That feedback maintains neural pathways. When proprioception declines, fall risk increases dramatically. The fifth movement is kneeling and rising. Think about that. Many Western adults cannot kneel comfortably, but kneeling loads the knees in a controlled way, preserving cartilage health and maintaining full range of motion. And the sixth movement is simply standing often. Not sitting for hours, standing to talk, standing to prepare food, standing to read. Standing activates postural muscles continuously. It improves insulin sensitivity compared to sitting. Even low-level muscle activation increases glucose uptake. Here's the wow moment. After weeks of consistent daily movement, walking, squatting, carrying, stretching, kneeling, standing, something extraordinary happens at the cellular level. Autophagy increases. Autophagy is your body's internal recycling program. The word literally means self-eating, damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, cellular debris. All of it gets broken down and recycled. When you are sedentary, autophagy slows. Waste accumulates in the cellular factory. Imagine a warehouse filled with broken machinery that never gets cleared out, but movement activates pathways like AMPA and suppresses your cells. It's time to clean house. Over time, this reduces oxidative stress. It lowers inflammatory cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha. It improves mitochondrial efficiency. In our city metaphor, this is when the garbage trucks finally start running again. Streets clear. Factories operate smoothly. Power plants hum. And here is what gives me chills every time I explain this. This is not a drug. This is not a surgery. This is not a surgery. This is not a biohack. This is your biology responding to movement the way it was designed to for hundreds of thousands of years. Now let's bust some myths. My number one, if I'm not sweating hard, it doesn't count. This is not only wrong, it is physiologically backwards for longevity. High-intensity training has its place, but daily gentle movement builds metabolic resilience without excessive cortisol spikes. Myth number two, at my age it's too late to build muscle. Every time I hear this in my clinic, I have to take a breath because this myth is costing people their health. Studies show adults in their 80s can increase muscle mass significantly with resistance training and daily functional movement. My number three, Walking isn't real exercise. Tell that to the endothelial cells lining your arteries that release nitric oxide with every step. Tell that to the mitochondria multiplying inside your muscle fibers. Myth number 4, I need expensive equipment. The Japanese seniors I observed had none. They had gravity. They had floors. They had groceries. Now let's talk about clinical evidence. There was a landmark observational study of Okinawan elders showing dramatically lower rates of cardiovascular disease and dementia compared to Western populations. Their daily energy expenditure wasn't from gym sessions. It was from constant low-level movement. In my own clinic, I have seen patients reduce A1C from pre-diabetic levels to normal in under 3 months simply by implementing daily walking after meals and practicing floor sitting. One of my patients, Maria, age 68, could not rise from the floor without assistance. We practiced supported squats daily. 3 months later, she was rising unassisted and her inflammatory markers dropped significantly. Grip strength alone has been shown to predict mortality better than systolic blood pressure in some populations. Movement is medicine, and it is dose dependent. Now let me give you the practical protocol. Starting tomorrow morning, you walk for 20 minutes within an hour of waking. Not scrolling your phone, walking. Outside if possible. After each main meal, you walk for 10 minutes. This blunts glucose spikes dramatically. Twice a day, you practice 5 controlled deep squats. Hold on to a counter if needed. Slow descent. Slow rise. You sit on the floor for at least 15 minutes in the evening. Change positions. Cross-legged. Side sit, kneeling. Then stand without using your hands if possible. You carry something moderately heavy every day. Grocery bags. Water jugs. 2 minutes at a time. Every hour that you are awake, you stand for at least 5 minutes. Do this for 30 days. Track how you feel. Track fasting glucose if you can. Track energy. Now, who should be careful? If you are pregnant, you need individualized guidance. If you have severe osteoarthritis or recent joint replacement, modify depth and range. If you are on insulin or glucose-lowering medications, monitor blood sugar closely when increasing movement. If you have advanced cardiovascular disease, begin gradually and consult your physician. If you are under extreme stress and sleep deprived, address sleep first. Recovery matters. And finally, let me close where I began. Harold, the engineer who feared decline. We implemented these 6 movements. Nothing extreme. Daily walking. Floor sitting. Squats holding onto his kitchen counter, carrying groceries intentionally. 6 months later, his A1C normalized, blood pressure improved, but more importantly, he told me something profound. He said, "Doc, I feel capable again." That is what this is about: capability, agency, strength that carries you into your 8th, 9th, 10th decade. Your body is not fragile, it is adaptive. It is waiting for a signal. Movement is that signal. And I will leave you with this single sentence. Longevity is not built in the gym once a week. It is built in the small movements you repeat every single day. Thank you. I'd love to hear your questions, and if you're watching online, share in the comments which of these 6 movements you're starting tomorrow.